All right, guys. How's it going?
Good.
What do we have over here? Tell me what you see.
We see a machine that's called a bobcat. It's going. Machine. Instead of picking up its normal thing that's dirt, it's picking
What's
up
he doing?
snow.
What's he doing?
He's making the bottom of the snowman, the base of the snowman.
All right, it's awesome. He's making the base of the snowman.
Where's the wood? Where is the wood?
All right, the great snowman of 2012 is taking us into the bathroom here. What I've determined is that this snow is kind of a fluffy snow, and so we're going to have to add some water to it and sprayers. So we're going to have is a bobcat, sprayers, water, shovels, gloves, probably 10 adults working on this. But we're going to build a
And 3 kids.
And 3 kids. Potentially we'll get the twins to work too. I don't know if they're capable at this point. But watch as I add water to the snow, dude. The snow pile.
Can you come in with Mom?
Here we go.
Oops.
Here we go.
Shut up, it's all, yeah.
See, I'm kind of do some of that.
That's going to be a lot of water.
A lot of water.
Why didn't you get the hose?
All right, here we are at the site of the world's largest snowman. This is part of Globo Gym, my garage here, but this is the step ladder we procured for my brother-in-law Justin. If you follow me down just for a second here, you'll notice the base of the snowman as we got to form. We haven't yet carved it, but it's the base of the basketball goal. We're doing that because the basketball goal is a solid 10 feet where the hoop is. You go up on top of that, you're about 15 feet. We're going to build a 15-foot tall snowman. It will be the largest snowman that the city has seen. However, here's the deal. We need your help. SOS. If you want to come out here and help build the snowman, we're going to be here till at least 6 o'clock today, and then probably all day tomorrow as well. And it'll be like 3 in the morning on Sunday, and I'll just be out here shoveling, and I'm going to get it done. 15 feet. Yeah! Oh, you're still on. You're still on.
On today's show, we are interviewing the Chief Operating Officer and the Vice President of Team Sports for one of America's leading sports agencies. And that agency is Wasserman.
Wasserman. That's how you say it.
Actually not, but we'll keep going. You see, Wasserman represents the NFL star, Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch, NBA star, Russell Westbrook, the soccer star, Mia Hamm,
Wonderful woman.
the NBA star, Draymond Green, NBA star Klay Thompson, and countless A-list professional athletes. Ladies and gentlemen, get this. Today's guest, Jason Rainey, was a very good high school basketball player.
Well, when will you tell us the rest of the story?
But yet he decided to walk on to the #1 Division I basketball program in the country at the time. Yes, my friends, without an invitation, he decided to join the Arizona Wildcats as a walk-on. He was not offered a scholarship. He was not recruited to be there. And yet he worked tirelessly until he earned a full scholarship. And yet the story gets better. My main man, Jason Rainey, went on to earn a full scholarship, yes, but he was also named co-captain of the team during his senior year. And on today's show, we talk about what it's like to manage top-level athletes, the importance of daily diligence, why there is no substitute for preparation, and the value of having a stoic mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, all this and more on today's interview with Jason Rainey, the COO and Vice President of Team Sports
For a little company that I like to call Wasserman.
You're saying it weird.
Saying what weird?
All of it.
Where do you get off?
I just don't get why you're saying it that way.
Why I'm saying what way?
It's cool. Just forget it.
I will forget it.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrivetime Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we have an incredible guest, Mr. Jason Rainey. Welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I am very excited to introduce you to the Thrive Nation, and I think some of the listeners out there might be familiar with you and what you do. Maybe many are not. Could you share with the listeners out there what your current day job is?
I'm the Chief Operating Officer and Executive Vice President of Wasserman's Talent Representation Practice, and that's a sports agency We're headquartered in Los Angeles, but we're a global company with about 800 employees worldwide.
So, Jason, the Dr. Z here. If I wanted to make myself eligible for the 2019 NFL Draft, could you be the guy that I would contact?
You could, but I would refer you to someone who handles your talent level.
So how much talent do I have to have for Wasserman's group to kind of take me on? I mean, is that...
He's
You got
54.
to be pretty good. Our
that
NFL
rules me
agents are
out.
representing the top players.
And I know you're not a name dropper, Jason, but I want to make sure the listeners understand the width and the depth of Wasserman. Could you explain some of the athletes or share the names of some of the athletes that your firm proudly represents?
Sure. So we're in every major sport. In the NBA, we're proud to represent some Thunder players, Steven Adams, Russell Westbrook, as well as some non-Thunder players around the league, in Brooke Lopez, Robin Lopez, Derrick Rose, DeMontis Sabonis. We have a pretty good mix there. In baseball, our superstars, Jose Ramirez, Giancarlo Stanton, Yu Darvish, some pretty talented young kids, and Nick Senzel, Javi Baez, Nolan Arenado. Hockey, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, Roman Yossi. In women's sports, we also have a great client list there across a variety of Olympic sports. Hillary Knight in women's hockey, Tora Bright in snowboarding. On the basketball side, Sue Bird, Candace Parker, Diana Taurasi. Coaches, we represent Luke Walton, Fred Hoiberg. Golfers, Jason Day, Ricky Fowler, Tony Finau.
Wow.
NFL, Marshawn Lynch, Cameron Jordan, some very top soccer players as well, both on the women's and men's side. Women's, Alex Morgan, Mia Hamm, Abby Wambach. On the men's side, retired players like Landon Donovan and
Really?
existing players in London, U.S. here as well. So
Now, I want to kind of bridge the gap between where you are now and where you started. I love this. I love to tell us. I like to share with the listeners how our guests started and where their careers began. My understanding is you started off playing basketball in high school at Bishop Kelly High School, and I'd love to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best player in the world and a 1 being just terrible, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, how good were you in high school?
I would say I was above average. On a scale 1 to 10, I'd say I was a 6 or 7. I got recruited by a few schools, from bad D1s to good D3s, and ultimately walked on at the University of Arizona. Although I wasn't their primo selection for that year. I struggled my freshman year there, basketball wise, and was surrounded by some very, very talented players.
I'd love for you to share with us, go back to your glory days, because I know every year since your high school career wrapped up, as you think back and you start to share with maybe your kids and family, you become probably better year by year in your mind, those high school years.
Yeah, as you were in your Letterman jacket.
What was your best game in high school, the best game you had?
My most memorable game was probably against Bishop McGuinness. I think I was a senior that year, and they were nationally ranked, and they had some really high-level recruits, Terrence Crawford and a couple other players. And my high school team, I still to this day are very close friends with all those players that competed with me. So when we played McGuinness that year, it was like the first time we had played a nationally ranked team at Kelly in a while, and it was very competitive. I remember us coming out of the gates very strong and hanging with them until the fourth quarter, and at the end of the game we won it on a last second shot. I passed it to a teammate named Matt Land, who made a 15-footer, and then I remember all the fans rushing the court at Kelly, which was the first time that had ever happened to me, which was pretty fun.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
Now, you walked on at Arizona. Is that correct? You walked on at Arizona.
Yes.
And Arizona at the time, I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, I think Arizona at the time was hovering between a top 10 and top 20 basketball program. Am I correct there?
My freshman year, we were preseason number 1, and we were definitely around the top 20 every year during my time there.
Wow, you just went for the preseason number one. I think I just walk on.
Now,
If you want to, go big.
Yeah.
This is the question where,
Wildcat.
Jason, I'll know if you don't like this question if you hang up on me, but this is what I want to ask. You come across as a really measured guy. Our mutual friend, Coach Calvert, speaks very highly of you. As I've Google stalked you, it looks as though you're a very, very sharp guy, measured guy. Did you lose your mind when you decided to walk on at a Division I school that was the best in the United States? I mean, what were you thinking, man? The odds were against you.
You know, for me, oftentimes in the moment, I don't think through those kind of things. I can say that I was 100% intimidated from my first practice. I still remember my first practice. They would do preseason, like individual workouts, and they would do guards and wings and bigs. You'd have a little group. And I remember my first practice, Richard Jefferson was a sophomore, and or maybe he was a junior. I can't remember. But I had to match up with him. They would do this drill. They'd pass to the wing, one-on-one, and you'd have to have one or two dribbles and score. And Richard got the ball, and I was defending him, and he took one dribble to the elbow and elevated to shoot a jumper. And I remember his waist being at my eye level when he was shooting his jumper. And I remember thinking that after that day that, like, okay, this is another level. I have a problem. I better figure out something to do with my life that's not professional basketball, because I know that that person is playing professional basketball and this person and me is not.
Jason, this is Paul Hood. I played little college football, and my oldest son was like all-state football. And, did you struggle? Like, when you left Bishop Kelly, you were kind of the guy. Like my son was the guy, before he scored a touchdown.
The dude.
He was the guy. And then he walked on at Oklahoma State. And he quickly realized, wow, I'm not the guy. And it was more of an emotional struggle than it was physical to think, he'd never sat on the bench. He'd always been, the leader and everything. And so dealing with that, I think, must have been a struggle for you.
Yeah, for me, I've never, I think, like I said, I pretty quickly realized that I wasn't going to ever have a huge opportunity there, but it ultimately wasn't the reason I went to University of Arizona. Wasn't to become a professional player or be the guy. I had a long history. My family, I was born in Tucson. Both my parents went there. My grandparents were there. So there was an interest to me go to school there in general. And so I didn't struggle as much emotionally with just, having my opportunity to play as it was, can I compete? Like, can I compete on this level given how big of a jump it was? To where I had some value to offer them. I just didn't want to be a throw-in all the way, my 4 years there. I wanted to be able to contribute in some way to the program. And looking back, I do think that took me at least 6 months to figure out, if not a whole year. I remember coming back my sophomore year and, I lifted weights, I put on weight, I was much stronger. I remember coaches commenting about it. And that's kind of really when I think showed them and the teammates there that I actually had a reason to be there to help this program, as opposed to, just being a walk-on to sit the bench and get good grades.
Now, my understanding is that your junior year, you were given a full, you earned a full scholarship your junior year, and you were actually voted as co-captain of the entire team.
Wow.
Your senior year. Walk us through the process of going from a walk-on to actually earning a full scholarship. What did that feel like to get the full scholarship, and then what did it feel like to become the co-captain of the team?
Yeah, it blew me away. I mean, Jim Rosborough was the associate head coach there, and Lute Olson was the head coach, and they had always told me, that if I did what I was supposed to do, there may be opportunities for that. When I first started there, I went actually on an academic scholarship to Arizona. And so for me, thinking it was possible, but not actually, I never really believed that would happen. When it did, it really floored me for about a week on, like, this actually happened, and I could see my parents and how proud they were, and it was a pretty emotional week, I think, for all of us, to have that reward. But I use this quote that my high school coach, Danny Limes, gave me, where it's luck is where preparation meets opportunity, and I definitely had luck involved in that because we were such a high-level program. We had kids constantly going, either transferring or going to the NBA and they couldn't fill the recruits fast enough in a couple of the years. So there was, in junior year, senior year, there were extra scholarships. I have no doubt they would not have given me that scholarship if the number one prospect in the country said he wanted to come that year.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. But I also was prepared, and as I said, I felt like I really took a step forward my sophomore year going into that junior year to show that I had some meaning to this organization and university and team, and they rewarded me with that. It was great. And then, being senior and a captain, that also just it was unbelievable to be voted that, even though I wasn't playing every single day, and have some recognition from your teammates and the program that you have a role to play and you can help and contribute.
What kind of things did you do on a very practical, on a very specific daily basis that allowed you to earn the respect and the confidence of your coaches? What kind of things were you doing on a daily basis to earn that scholarship?
To me, I think half of life and success is just you show up and do what you say you're going to do.
Oh, wow.
Today, in our work environment today, we just call people back. Come in on time, do your work, call people back, be diligent. And I definitely did all of those things when I was there. I did what I was supposed to do in the classroom. I was very good academically for the program and for myself. But then also, I never missed practice. I was always there. I was always positive. I always played hard. The days that I didn't play well, it didn't last. It didn't go into weeks of not doing well. And I always got along with everybody, whether they were more famous, more senior or junior, doesn't matter. Always got along with everybody. But I'd also seen a lot in the program by that time.
Yeah.
My senior year, especially, my freshman year, we were preseason number 1, and then Lute Olson's wife, Bobby, passed away of cancer that year, and we, really struggled as a team, and then turned it back around at the end of the season to make the championship game. Going into sophomore year, all these players had left to go pro. We were rebuilding, and that was a unique team. And then junior year, we were back to, being in the top 10 in the country and going to the Elite 8. Senior year was another sort of rebuild kind of thing and trying to overachieve. So I was one of the only ones who had seen so much and all of the ups and downs and the different types of teams that the coaches had put together and the type of system and everyday preparation that they wanted. So I was able to be a good conduit of stability for an ever-changing program.
What made you decide to want to attend the University of Minnesota to study law after graduating from the University of Arizona? Were you attracted to the weather, the rhubarb, the endless references to Prince? What drew you to the University of Minnesota to study law?
I was attracted to my now wife. That's the truth.
Oh, there
we go.
There we go.
This just in.
Yeah, boom.
There it is.
That'll do it.
Okay.
That'll get her done.
So we met at University of Arizona. She was a gymnast at the U of A, and she was a year younger and graduated in 5 years, so we were 2 years apart in terms of school. And her family was from Minnesota, and so, I was smitten. The grand plan was that I would go up to the University of Minnesota, which was a good school. I think it was top 20 or still is at the time, and I would work 2 years in law school. She would graduate, come up and work my third year of law school, and it would all go well. That was really why I considered it. But I also knew I wanted to go to law school and almost my whole life since 8th grade. So I felt like it didn't ultimately matter where I went. And I actually believe a lot in that especially with higher education, it doesn't really matter where you go. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, wherever you are, you're going to have opportunities. And I believe that then, and I believe it now, and it worked out fine for us.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'4".
So you are in college as a college basketball player. Just give us some context. How much did you weigh? How tall are you? What was your vertical leap? Give us some of the stats.
Yeah. All right. So in college, I came in at like 180, 6'4", 180. By the time I finished, I was around 6'4", 207.
Wow.
And I managed to keep that my last couple of years, junior, 207. I'm now down to 6'4", 180 again because it was hard to put that on and keep it on. Athletically, trust me, I'm not athletic. I'm as athletic as any of you probably in that room. And I wasn't a regular dunker. Everything I did was smart. I remember a teammate of mine, Salim Stoudemire, you can probably Google this. It was a funny quote. Someone in the media asked him one day, about me as a player and what I do for the team. And his quote was, man, I don't know how, but I can never steal the ball from him. But I don't know how he's good at anything he does. I remember thinking, yeah, that's pretty much it.
That
And then I had
sums up my
another
career.
weight coach in the room. We were warming up one day. It was, preseason, hard. No one wants to be there. And you had to do these things where you stepped over these hurdles, like track hurdles.
Yeah.
And you had to step over to start warming up your hips and stuff. And I was very grinding through slowly. And I remember the weight coach saying, Jason, be an athlete today. And I still remember that today of like, yeah, that's not why I was successful and ultimately won't be, I think, my what I'm known for as far as basketball. But as Salim said, no one could ever take the ball away from me, and I didn't make mistakes.
Well, Jason, don't you think that coaches really appreciate that? For instance, I see so many young kids with talent that just they don't just show up. Like, for instance, my alma mater, Oklahoma State, our coach had to dismiss 3 of our best players this year because the goofy kids allegedly took a BB gun and were out in parking lots shooting windows out when they're there to go to school and
That's
their
not a move.
futures. Yeah, it's not a move. And so, coaches appreciate guys like you that show up and work hard and, like you say, just do what you say you're going to do. Is it frustrating to you? Do you ever represent kids that come out and have great talent and great possibilities, and you see that in them, but yet they just can't? I mean, does it frustrate you?
Well,
to see
I'm
a guy
sure
like that?
Wasserman has never represented an athlete that's crazy. I'm sure that's other agencies.
Other guys.
But did you ever see that in general, though, Jason, from athletes that are very talented? Do you ever see that? Does it ever frustrate you?
Yeah, I mean, you see them squander the moments that they have. There's so few moments in time that they have a chance to take it to the next level, to capitalize, and all their careers are very short in the scheme of life compared to the rest of us. So yes. And does it frustrate me? In this role and what we do here, we are their advisors, we're their fiduciaries, we're their support group, and really, ultimately, we don't get frustrated by it. We just have to keep fighting through to support them.
Got it.
And protect them. But it is, I would say sometimes disappointing or shocking, and if you can't reach them over multiple times, if you see it's going one way and you try to correct it and you try to support and you do everything, but over time, they keep making the same mistakes and it looks like it's self-destructive. That's just very, it's sad, and I have a lot of empathy for those situations.
Now, Jason, you are now the Chief Operating Officer and Executive Vice President of the team's sports division, for Wasserman, one of the top agencies on the planet. How did you first get started there? Were they impressed with your ability to keep the ball away from people, or how did you get hired there?
When I was finishing law school, I was really wanted to be a lawyer, and I was close to accepting a position at a firm in Phoenix. When Jim Rosborough, who was associate head coach at Arizona, called and said, "Hey, Arn Tellem wants to meet you." I think that was back 2006. I think the winter of 2006, and I knew who Arn was. If you Google him today, he's probably the most transcendent sports agent that has ever lived. Scott Boras is up there, but Scott only did one sport and only done one sport. Arn did multiple and was very influential in both. So I said, sure, I'll take the interview, went out there. I didn't want to be an agent initially. I really went to law school to be a lawyer. And after the interview and talking with Arn more, he was gracious enough to create a position that was a legal position at Wasserman when it was really just launching. Arn had just sold his business to Wasserman. And he let me grow in that role and learn pretty much all the back office legal operational stuff there is to know about doing a sports agency in multiple sports. And that gave me a great foundation to then grow from there.
Jason, I have a question for you. Have you ever had one of your athletes ask you this or say this?
Be careful with this question, Z. Be careful.
Show me the money. Have you ever had anybody say that to you?
Not seriously. Everyone repeated that line for many years, but half kidding, I could say.
Yeah.
But yes, it has occurred in my life.
Well, that's good to know.
Now, during your first go-round over there at Wasserman, did you ever work directly with the big-time athletes like Derrick Rose, or what kind of work were you doing for Wasserman during your first stint with the company?
Yeah, so I was in a legal role, but I also, was a jack of all trades, and we were very much like a startup at the time, and with a lot of different opportunities. So I sold marketing. I remember trying to pitch the North Carolina Peanut Farmers Association on a deal for Sean May at the time. He was just coming out of the University of North Carolina. Wow. I did client service, day-to-day logistics with them and their families. I was recruiting clients myself, represented my own, but I also, did all the operational budgeting, planning, legal stuff across every sport we had. And that's been soccer, baseball, golf, basketball, mixed martial arts, action, Olympics, done a lot of that stuff.
Now, my understanding is after your first stint with Wasserman, how long did you work at Wasserman before the Oklahoma City Thunder called you? 5
years.
So 5 years. And then who called you on the Thunder, and what did they want you to do with that organization?
Sam Presti, who's I think the president now, and I know he's got the GM title, but he's been there a long time and very successful. So he called me out of the blue to say he wanted to talk about a client of mine named Deontay Garrett. And then at the time I was naive and I didn't realize that, Sam Presti doesn't really fly to LA to meet with me about Deontay Garrett, who was good, but he was, a third point guard for the NBA.
Yeah.
So we went to breakfast, and he told me that Rob Hennigan, who was the assistant GM at the time there, was taking the Orlando Magic GM job, and then he had this opening in his front office, and he wanted me to consider it, but that he wanted to create a role with me, what I wanted to do and what he thought was needed for their organization. So that's kind of how that started, and we spent some time, months actually, trying to figure out what the role would be and how it would be, and before I ultimately decided to leave Wasserman, which was gut-wrenching for me because I loved this place and was very tied to it as sort of my first opportunity within the sports world.
When you left, I think a lot of people, leave jobs the wrong way.
They do.
A lot of people burn a bridge,
Yeah, I know.
So here you are working with Wasserman. You've been there for 5 years. And I just want to ask you this because this is probably very helpful, very actionable for the listeners out there. Hopefully, listeners out there are picking up on the diligence. This is one thing you hear a lot from our successful guests is the diligence, but also the idea of building lifelong relationships. How did you transition? What were the conversations like, and how did you transition? Because ultimately, you're back there now, so you must have done it right. How did you do it?
Yes, I think it's key that you're open with your superior, whoever that is, your boss at the time, and that you explain that you're considering new opportunity and you explain for the right reasons. I've never leveraged one for the other. So I never went to Arn or Casey at that time and said, hey, if you don't give me this, I'm going to Oklahoma City. And when I left Oklahoma City, this time to come back to Wasserman, and same thing with Sam. So I always explain it very openly and personally on why I'm even looking at it and why it's relevant to me. So doing that with Arn and Casey at the time and talking about, hey, I grew up in Tulsa. My family's close to Oklahoma City, and I have a 1-year-old son, and I love Oklahoma and always will, and this is a unique thing for me. And then we talk about what, if I stay and everything I was doing, what that would look like, and then you just got to make a choice. But I always feel like if you give people an opportunity to weigh in, be part of your decision, and you do it in an authentic way where they really are part of your decision, if they end up being on the wrong side of that decision, I think they feel valued, even if they feel, a little scorned and you didn't go with them. I do think that they feel valued, and whether it's a week later, a day later, or a month later, you can always call back and know that you did it right and that they respected you for that. So I think it's important. You communicate, you're authentic, you're open, you're honest, and you don't treat people like they're just an opportunity to leverage a moment in time, because we all have moments in time to do that. But over many moments in time, if you treat people to where you're just trying to squeeze the dollar out of them, or as if it's a transaction, you will lose out, I think, over time.
How long were you with the Thunder?
3 years.
And what kind of daily activities did you do with the Thunder?
I was the director of strategic planning for them on the basketball side, and a lot of that focus was on planning our roster out multiple years in advance, using the trade deadline, free agency, and the draft to build our roster and try to maximize each position from a performance standpoint and a financial standpoint for the club. So we would create a plan. We literally created a strategic plan over that time, trying to look at when our stars were becoming free agents and maximize those opportunities before that, and then hopefully retain them in the end. So,
Did you think that Harden would become a guy who could score over 35 points a game?
You know, I wasn't there at the time when the Thunder traded him to Houston, but I can tell you, I remember when I was at Wasserman, we recruited James as a client. So I remember going to a lot of college games, watching him, and even in the NCAA tournament, he wasn't good.
Really?
He wasn't very good. I mean, he's not bad in that he would have been an NBA player, rotation player, fine and have a great career, but the idea of him being this transcendent, no, it was not there. I do remember, though, the Thunder did a lot for him as far as working on some of his limitations. You know, he used to only jump off 2 feet, for example. And you watch what he does now with the ball, and everything's this 1 foot and very controlled, strong core, strong hands. A lot of that started with, you know, identifying the issue and making him better. And I think the Thunder are known for that as player development and finding ways to turn you into something that you maybe even didn't know you could be.
So I have a shot. You're
You
saying,
have a
you're
shot.
saying,
There, it goes back to
you're
you
saying-
having
you're
a shot.
saying-
He's
You're saying I have a chance.
That's what he's saying. I
You're
think.
saying I have a chance. I mean, I work on my core.
Let's see.
I
Let's
mean,
see
that's
you
easy.
jump. Let's see you jump, Z.
I jump
one leg
one
or
foot.
two.
Jason,
One time-
Dr. Z is a 50-year-old man. He's an optometrist who has great calves. Does that help at all?
Yeah.
I got to work on my core, though.
Yeah, your core's
It's
off.
obviously it's the core. It's
Calves are
always
amazing,
goes
though.
back to the core. I've told you that, Clay.
Now, Jason, I want to ask you this. When did you decide it was time to go back to Wasserman? When did you decide, okay, it's time to go back? I'm coming back.
I didn't even think about it until Casey Wasserman and Mike Watts, who's our president here, called and said we'd be interested in having you back. Arn Tellem had left Wasserman to go become the chairman of the Pistons, and they called and said, hey, if you have interest in this job, we'd love to talk to you about it. And I did what I did, every time. I went to Sam and I said, hey, this is what happened. I want to look at it for these reasons, but, it doesn't mean I'm taking it, and I just need your support while I look at it. And spent a lot of time talking about what it's like on the agency side versus the team side, and where Wasserman was and where it could be going into the future. And ultimately, the first decision was a blend of my family and being in Oklahoma again and career. And this decision, we like LA, but I would rather live in Oklahoma. So this was much more about career for me and having a chance to build something of our own here in multiple sports over a long period of time to see where it goes.
A lot of my friends who've moved to LA, who are about Jason, how old are you right now? How old are you?
I'll be 38 in August.
Okay, so you and I are basically the same age here. Okay, so we're both about the same age here. A lot of my buddies, Paul, I've seen it. They moved to L.A. Oklahoma boys. They moved to L.A.
Why?
And all of a sudden, it's because it's the music industry or it's the film, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, the pants get really tight, like vacuum-packed tights, tight pants, really tight
skinny
pants.
jeans.
Skinny jeans. And they got the Bieber shirts going on.
Oh, yeah.
And they're always wearing the new Jordans where they never tie the laces. And then they start to get interesting haircuts. Has that happened to you yet, Jason?
Nope. I still have strong. Just the fact I still have an Oklahoma cell phone number, so it tells you the rest
that's
of my
awesome.
life.
Yeah.
It's sort of still there, but yeah, I do have to do a little more LA about my life. I would
Yeah.
say food, especially.
Oh, you're a foodie.
Nutrition has permeated my life between kale, sushi,
have you gone over to the vegan?
quinoa, all those things.
Have you
But
turned
everything
vegan?
else is mostly the same.
Have you gone vegan on us?
No.
No. Okay.
That big steak.
Do you find yourself reading esoteric poetry during the day while being oddly casual about everything?
I do not. I do not.
I just wanted
Do you
to
find yourself?
You guys, you know what? You guys should come out. You should spend some time out in Manhattan Beach. See what you think. Do a show from out there. I bet
here's the deal,
it pulls on you a little bit.
I promise. I promise. If you'll sit down with me to do a show, I will come out and interview you. I make that a commitment here on the show. If
do.
you'll sit down with me, I will come out there to interview you.
And we'll sip coffee in a cafe for 2 hours for lunch. How's that?
And we'll use the word bro
All right.
a lot.
bro. Yeah, bro.
Bro.
bro, it's awesome out here,
Jason,
bro.
Jason, bro,
Bro.
your firm now represents some just awesome like athletes and stuff. Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Russell Westbrook, Ricky Fowler, Marshawn Lynch, just huge names. What is the most fun or enjoyable aspect of working with people like this on a daily basis?
To me, it's the connection with them, and I love building the relationships with them and their families, but also the careers. I mean, if we really partner with the world's best athletes and brands and properties to transform their careers as they go through the life cycle of an athlete or a company. So that when you look back and you see some of the successes that we've had as a company and our clients have had with us, it's very rewarding to have that track record. I also think it's, every day is different. It can be stressful because every day is different and it's hard to plan, but it also gives you something to look forward to each day, something that inspires you, keeps your mind going, so you never get into a rut.
We've interviewed Marshawn Lynch's former teammate at Cal, Justin Forsett, on the show, and he was a great interview, and he was telling us all sorts of great things about Marshawn Lynch and his mindset. And I'd love to get your take on what makes Russell Westbrook and Marshawn Lynch these incredible athletes, kind of behind the scenes, these sort of character traits. Let's go with Russell Westbrook here. What makes him so good on the court? I mean, he just looks so intense. It's like a laser.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people Russell is like no other. He has this inner energy and passion and drive that is extremely rare. Being a professional athlete on the highest levels is really hard, and it has to, every day you have to wake up and do the same thing at extreme high level, no matter what else is going on. And very few athletes are able to do that over a 10-year period. They have to have the same level of pursuit to be the best for that long. And when you compare these top 1.1% and Russell-type athletes, it's really, to me, otherworldly in what they're able to do without, major injury, without exhaustion, without, huge performance swings. It takes I don't have it. I can tell you that. I know I have days where I'm tired, even with my kids going home at night. Like, it takes this unbelievable focus, drive, energy to do that.
Well, the only way that you're going to be able to get that energy is to eat as much kale as you can out there, bro.
Yeah, that's
Quinoa.
right.
Quinoa, bro.
So is Marshawn going to play with the Raiders next year? Do we know that?
Do we know?
yet?
Can we even talk about that?
Can we talk? Is that?
Are we?
did I go
can't
there?
talk about it, and I have no idea.
Why
so
would
we'll
paint him
see.
into a corner, Z? Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
That was aggressive.
That was
an
aggressive
question.
Now, Jason, do you want to take a quick break, or do you want me to keep going? Are we doing good? Or?
Let's keep going for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
keep
So,
going.
and we're back. Okay.
He's got unbelievable energy, by the way.
Unbelievable. Yeah. It's like
Jason,
it's like the
charge it
kale.
through it.
It's just it's putting off
kicking
this
in.
positive energy.
Manhattan
Wow.
Beach, baby. It's doing him good.
Now, on a very practical level, what does Wasserman do to solve problems for athletes? What kind of problems do you solve? What kind of services do you offer? Tell us about the Wasserman difference.
Well, I think we try to do almost anything and everything for them. The classic agent role is negotiating team contracts and marketing deals and commercializing their name and likeness. But we also are essentially a day-to-day business manager. We support them and their families logistically, so housing, immigration, travel, nutrition. In today's world, we also manage their usage of new media like social and digital and content. We have performance support that we offer, whether it's a physical therapist on staff or we have a gym out in Los Angeles where a lot of our NBA guys train in the off season. I'd say that, for us, this is a very specialized field. It's almost like a patent lawyer to me on the legal side.
Sure.
It's a very specialized field where we are experts in that field. We have seen a lot of different challenges and outcomes and solutions for athletes, and we support them on a high level as they perform, with their on-court stuff and their off-court stuff and their families.
JC, you don't need to tell us what athlete requested this, but what was the craziest thing, or kind of the most
Here we go again.
interesting? I know.
If he hangs up, Z, I know it's a bad question.
I just hope he doesn't.
Okay.
But what was the craziest request that an athlete is made, like in their contract or something of that nature?
Oh man, contracts. I don't know it's interesting. I think you'd be surprised that a lot of the team contracts and even marketing stuff is somewhat systematized. There's not too much out of the box you can do other than massive dollars, or things that support them in performance or marketing or those kind of things. So I think, you've probably heard of a lot of them. You could Google them and look up suites on the road, or hiring friends and family, or covering private jets. Those kind of things I think are not routine, but I've definitely seen some unusual deals that support these clients.
And how do you handle that conversation when you're talking with an athlete who thinks they're worth X, but you think they're only worth Y?
Jason, I didn't really start in high school, but I would like $80 million. That's what I'd like.
And my private jet's covered.
How do you have that conversation?
How do you have that conversation? How does that look like?
Education. You've got to educate them on the market and the way it operates. You have to start early and teach them how a system works, whether it's NBA, MLB, NFL. They all have different salary systems and compensation mechanisms. So the earlier you can start educating them on that process as they enter the draft, and then after the draft as they enter salary arbitration in baseball, for example, or free agency in any sport, and you show them how it works, you show them why the system's set up like it is, you show them comparables on performance, so what we call market comps. And then as you get closer, you show them a landscape. This is what teams X, Y, and Z have on their roster. They have available financially. And from there, they should have everything they need to get a better sense of why and how they're valued. And it's not me or any other agent telling them this is what you're worth. It's now that you know all the facts, what do you think you're worth? And most of the time, they get there on their own, and then it's about executing on the band of the low end of that range and the high end of that range.
But bro, I'm a team player, bro. I'm not out there trying to, pat my own stats, bro. I'm a team player. Don't they want a team player on their team, man?
Clay?
I'm not out there trying to hog the ball.
Do you ever have those kind of conversations, Jason? Have you ever had to have those, or is it pretty much just? It's non-emotional. It's pretty just here's the data. Here's what you're worth. Is that kind of how it goes?
No, it's definitely emotional, right? and that's where the education comes in. And yes, I have those conversations almost every night. My wife hates me for it at times, but after the game's finished, that's when all the agents in this company start getting phone calls about how it went or didn't go, or the coach did this, or my teammate did this. It's very commonplace, but that's where the education goes. If you try to make it opinion-based and completely subjective, it's hard to get to an outcome that both parties agree is fair.
Now, I want to ask you this because I think this is a business show. Z, we talk about businessy kind of things. I think a lot of people aren't aware of the economics, and I'm not asking for your particular cut that your agency makes per athlete or anything like that. I'm just saying on a broad level, just introduce the Thrive Nation to how that works. So let's say a guy makes $1 million a year. Does an agency get 1%? Is it standard 3%, 5%? What's 10? What's the standard rate that agencies will receive as part of the contract to do all these services that you provide your athletes?
It depends on the sport. Each I would say stick and ball sport that's sort of the major U.S. sports has a union, and the union regulates the agents, and they set the fee percentages. So, for example, Major League Baseball, it's usually 5%. In NBA, it's usually 4%. Hockey is 4%. So down the line, they're all kind of around that as far as team contracts go. And, if the union changes it, they change it. If they don't, they don't. So.
Now, I have 3 final questions for you, and I know that Paul has a question for you, and I know that Z does. So I'll go fast, rapid fire. So here we go. Is there a book that you would recommend for the listeners out there? You say, hey, you're come across as a well-read guy. Is there a certain book that you'd say, hey, this is a book that everybody out there should read that's maybe impacted you in a positive way?
I'm sad to say I don't actually read too many books. I read a lot of news, opinion pieces, and research articles,
Got
and
it.
explore online. I like to see where things come from, how they work. I really slowed down in my reading of actual tangible books after law school.
Got it.
But I would say I love entrepreneurial things, and I love the simplicity of famous quotes that come from business people, inventors, politicians, activists, coaches. And I also really like podcasts. I like how I built this podcast. The Southwest Airlines one, or Herb actually just passed away, I think.
Yeah.
The Atari Chuck E. Cheese one, which I thought was a fascinating combination. The same guy who invented Atari invented Chuck E. Cheese.
Nolan, yeah.
And then, and then the New Belgium Brewery were my three favorite from how I built this podcast.
I'm chasing down Nolan Bushnell right now. If you're out there, Nolan, come to Butthead. Come to me, Nolan. Come to me, Nolan. I'm reaching out to Nolan right now. I'm putting it out there in the universe. It's coming back here. Okay. Nolan will be on our show. I can tell it. I can feel it, Z. It's going to happen.
I know. You called it out.
There's only so many rejections one can have before you book Nolan Bushnell. Now, my next question is, you're a structured guy. A lot going on. Family. How many kids do you have? How many kids are in the Rainey clan?
2 boys.
2 boys. So what time are you waking up now every day? How do you spend those first 4 hours of your typical day?
You know, my kids usually wake up at 6, and then we try to convince them to stay in their rooms until 7 doing something quiet, while my wife and I kind of start to get ourselves ready. And then I usually get them out of their rooms at 6:45 or 7 and make them breakfast, make their lunches on school days, make my lunch, I eat breakfast, and then my wife by that time is usually showered and dressed and downstairs, and we high-five between the kitchen and while I go up and I get dressed and leave and go to work. And then, you know, she takes care of the rest during the day. I'm pretty fortunate before I come home at night, and I hope as best as I can to be home for dinner with them on most nights and read to my kids at around 8 before they go to sleep. That's an important thing for me while they're at this age and they value those kind of things, because I'm sure from everyone I've talked to, by the time they're in middle school and high school, they probably will be hoping that I'm not home at night and they can do whatever they want to do.
Now, I know that you help your clients to get paid and to get good contracts as a result of your big 3. You have the intense preparation. You have the experience, because you've been doing this forever. Your firm has a lot of experience to draw upon. But this third super move that I love is you kind of take the emotion out of it. You know, you come across as a very stoic guy, which is why I'm a big fan of what you're doing over there. Can you talk about the importance of bringing kind of a lack of emotion and not fanning the flames of people getting emotional? Because I think in your business, if you're a super emotional, non-stoic person, bad things could happen probably very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, if you are intensely prepared, then someone can't be more prepared to you, and you can't just lose out because you didn't do the legwork to get there. And if you've seen a lot, so you're experienced, then you can't lose out because you just hadn't seen something before. I think that emotion piece is the wild card there of, if you allow a negotiation to become emotional, you lose focus on what's objective and rational, and all that preparation and that experience that you had before starts to become biased. And that's where I think you risk an outcome that is emotion-based, and ultimately, whether let's say that you're not getting the high number you want and you become emotional about it and you walk away and you lose out on that deal and there's not another one, or they're offering, you know, too low, and instead of realizing that you're in a negotiation and the reason they're low is because you're in a negotiation and you're instead insulted by it, you risk really injuring the outcome in your client. And that Arn used to say this to me. It was a funny line, and I love it, and I still use it to this day. He would say, and I'm not saying he was totally unemotional, because at times, you know, he would get rather aggressive, but he used to say when people were like, Arn, I'm insulted, he said, I'm insulted that you're insulted. And that was a great thing that I remember to this day of, don't be emotional. If someone's insulted, it means that they're taking this personally, and you got to bring them back to, this isn't personal. We're just trying to get a deal done.
I'm insulted that you are insulted. I love that. Andrew, get ready for me to drop that on you every day, all day. And you're like, I was just taking notes here. Why would you say that to me? Paul, what is your final hot question for Mr. Jason Rainey before we let him get back to his West Coast living, his life of kale, his life of skinny jeans? Before we let him get back to that, my friend, what's your final question you have for him?
Jason, so as a CPA at Hood CPAs, we specialize in helping our clients make good financial decisions. I'm assuming, do you guys have platforms or processes that you help these young athletes that are coming out, and I don't care whether they're athletes or not. We don't teach people how to make good young people to make good financial decisions. I'm assuming you guys play a role in that. Is that correct? I mean, I know it's their money, but the short lifetime of their careers typically necessitates them saving a significant amount of their money today.
Yes, we don't do the financial offerings or the tax offerings here at our agency. We view it as a conflict of interest to have both of that in-house and have us as a service provider and also manage their money. So we do oftentimes sit in on meetings. We often get asked for introductions to people that our clients work with. And it is extremely, if you're talking about the stool and the legs on the stool that support their career, that financial side of it is as important as the agent side of it and as important as the performance side of it. And there are many, many horror stories you hear about athletes getting taken advantage of, whether it's around taxes or investments. In fact, I'm sure if you guys read ESPN over the weekend, you would have saw Lonzo Ball and his family were taken advantage of by someone around their business when he came out of college at UCLA and was drafted by the Lakers. So it's just the most recent story, but there's 10 of them a year. So yes, and it's interesting, most recently I've seen more companies come into the space that aren't trying to represent or advise financially or tax, but are actually just trying to be people who can do some background on the advisors in the space. There's a company, I'm plugging them now, but not really because that's not my intent, but just as an example, there's a company called Bright Lights that is founded by a former SEC investigator who now, if you call him up and ask him to look into the 5 financial advisors or accountants that you're about to meet with to hire, he will look into them and give you a full report and tell you, hey, yeah, these are good to go. I don't think that the everyday person needs that kind of audit or advice to look at who they're choosing from. Definitely for these athletes who are easy targets for predators who are trying to take advantage of them, I think it's an important thing for them to at least consider.
Jason, I've got 2 last hard-hitting questions.
Here we go.
One, we're down to the final, the Sweet 16. Who's going to win it all?
Ooh.
Since you are an expert in the arena.
Pontificate.
Who's winning it?
I like Gonzaga.
Oh,
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Now you're a West Coast guy.
Actually, we were just having a discussion with my wife. Is it Gonzaga or Gonzaga? I don't know. You guys, what do you guys
I don't know.
think? But that's who I like.
And the other question is, we're getting ready for the NFL draft. We've got so if you could be an agent for any kid coming out of college football right now and any kid coming out of college basketball, who would be the 2 you'd grab?
Oh man,
come on.
That's a tough one.
It is.
Football and basketball. So in football, because he went to Oklahoma, I think Kyler Murray,
there you go.
That experience of representing him, he may not be the best player in the draft, and he may not have the best NFL career of all the guys because there's some very talented players, especially defensively in this year's draft.
Yes.
But just the experience of going through, hey, he was drafted on the baseball side, considered that, played, Heisman, going into NFL side. That's what I look for in my own personal enjoyment of representing athletes, is just the diversity of it.
Yeah, that's pretty
and
cool.
That's something that will probably not happen again. I mean, it's going to be very rare in my lifetime to see, a drafted baseball player become a Heisman and then switch over and do the NFL and see how that goes. And then if that doesn't go well, have the opportunity to then switch back to baseball. That would be fascinating and very interesting.
That would be pretty cool. That's a good answer. And how about on the basketball side?
That's a tougher conversation, I think, for me, because we're in that business, and I'm personally in that business, so I probably prefer not.
Let me do this. Let me real quick. Let me translate. Z.
What? Oh,
Jason has a list of people that he's going after. He's got some great people. And who are we to paint you into a corner on this fantastic show? We need to hang up on ourselves. Jason, I appreciate you so much for being on the show, for really setting an example for so many people, and for kind of demystifying the path of becoming a professional sports agent.
Yeah, and he's a home guy that's done awesome. That's what's so fun. I love seeing
He's in Oklahoma.
Yeah, he's at Dulce.
He's told you that there's a chance.
And he said, to quote him, there's a chance. I got to work on my core.
It is.
I'll get my list of things I got to work on.
One-legged jumping.
But
I hacked into Jason's.
Hart was an MVP.
I hacked into Jason's computer, Z, and you're at the top of his do not draft list.
I am.
He says this 54-year-old optometrist.
I'm coming after him. I want to sign him.
He's an undiscovered jewel.
He's very deep.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you so much, my friend, and I hope you have a blessed day.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being on the show, buddy.
Hey, dudes, why can't we talk more about horsemen? If you are out there today and you're saying, how can I implement what I've learned today? How can I apply what I've learned? I believe the core message that I picked up on today's show, and just having interviewed Jason and then having known a person who knows him very, very well, Coach Calvert, who was one of his coaches as he was gaining skills in the game of basketball. Jason Rainey, above all else, is a very diligent person. He's a very diligent person. Well, diligence means the steady application of effort. So I would ask you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 today in the area of diligence. If diligence is if a 10 means that you always do what you're supposed to do, even when you don't feel like it. If you always work hard, even when you don't feel like it. If you always do what you're supposed to do, even on the sick days, that would be a 10. Now, if you're somebody who only works hard on the days where you feel good, that would be a 0. I'd encourage you to rate yourself on the diligence scale because I believe in you, but nothing works unless you do. My friend Maya Angelou, the best-selling author, the poet, the actress, she said nothing works unless you do. And my question I'd have for you today is, are you working as unto the Lord? Are you putting forth your best effort on a daily basis? And if that's the case, then you're going to do fine. But if not, nothing works. And now without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!
Hi, this is Ricky with Axle Service Plumbing. So I just want to thank Thrive 15 for the great job that they're doing.
Well, Thrive Nation, on today's show, we have a 2-for-1 special here for you. First off, if you're looking for a service provider, if you're saying, wow, I am looking for a plumbing company I can trust, you may just find the best plumbing solution you've ever heard of. And if you're looking to grow your business, you may also learn some pro tips on how to grow a successful company. Ricky Hudson, welcome onto the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Hey, thanks, Clay. Doing great.
Hey, well, first off, full disclosure, we use you guys often to do plumbing for our business, for our businesses, and we're super happy to hire you guys. You guys do a phenomenal job. But switching gears for a second, how did you guys at actsofserviceplumbing.com, how did you guys first come in contact with us? Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was my brother-in-law. He had a window glass company. And he had told me about you all and said that you were a great company to work with and that he had gained quite a bit of traction just working with you guys.
Now, I wanted to ask you because and my memory doesn't fare me super well, but I think when we first started working with you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you guys hadn't really generated leads online previously. I think you guys were kind of in that online lead flow. I think that's kind of where you were before you reached out to us. Is that accurate, or am I getting that wrong?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. We had a website, but it wasn't very good. And we weren't doing any really a lot of Google reviews or doing any Google ads or anything. So we were just kind of floating.
And I believe that I think you first came to a business conference. Is that kind of the first interaction you and I had together? Was I think you came to one of our workshops?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
And how would you describe? I mean, people sometimes come to the workshops because we have, somebody like the former CMO of Harley Davidson shows up, and people get a chance to learn from Ken Schmidt how to turn around a company, or they might show up because Tim Tebow is there and they want to learn about the right mindset, or they might see an Eric Trump in attendance and they want to learn about the Trump approach to business, or Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad and they want to learn his perspective. But how would you describe the experience of attending an in-person workshop?
I like it because it's kind of an intimate setting, and you get to meet the speakers. You can go up and talk to them. They're very friendly. They're open to questions, and I've never been to any really anything like it before, and getting to meet people. And there was the one guy that came up with the fire gun invention, and we were able to get on the ground with him and invest in his project, and just being able to sit there and interact with the other attendees and see how they're doing. And I built a lot of good relationships over the years, just going to the seminars and meeting different people. And I even met my chiropractor there, Brett Casbon, and he's still my chiropractor. So I've made a lot of good connections there.
And I think you guys met Grill Blazer, the founder of grillblazer.com, Bob Healy.
Yeah.
I think you met him before he even launched his product. I mean, he's gone on to be super successful.
Yeah.
I think you were at the first one where he was bringing his prototype to the conference. Was that right?
Yes, and I got one.
So you're one of the original
one of his first ones.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, okay, so now I want to ask you this here. As far as a plumbing service, tell us about all the services that you guys provide at actsofserviceplumbing.com.
We do anything from residential plumbing to replacing garbage disposals, faucets, hot water tanks, tankless units, work on sprinkler systems, anything around the house we can work on. We can fix it or replace it. We also work with commercial companies. We do all of Hideaway Pizza's plumbing for them. We put in several tankless systems for them for their commercial buildings. Work for several local restaurants.
So you guys do plumbing of all kinds, and I believe your sons work with you today, right? It's a family business?
Yes, I have two of my sons that are in the business with me, and that's going really good. We have a exit strategy already designed to where when I hit a certain time, then they're going to take over the company, and it'll keep going.
Now, again, we full disclosure, I mean, we do utilize your plumbing services from time to time, and we're super happy with the services there. Could you talk about the impact that that initial business coaching was able to make on your business for anybody out there that is, we always talk to people that are plumbers and doctors and dentists, and they're like, hey, what kind of impact did the conference in conjunction with the coaching make on your business?
It made a tremendous amount of impact because we didn't really know the impact of getting the Google reviews until we had come to one of your conferences and started interacting with the coach. We didn't really know the importance of having a really great website. We had someone just design it, and it was just out there. And when we came with you guys redid it for us, changed the whole look of the web page, and actually started kind of monitoring it for us to make sure it was always running and running good. We also didn't know about looking at our numbers and how to really dive into the numbers until we started working with the coaches. And we found out how to look, see if we're profitable, see if we're making the right changes or not. And then just how to do the interviews. We were doing just individual interviews, and then we went to group interviews, and that was just a big change for the company. We, instead of wasting our time just doing one individual person at a time, we just bring in a whole group of people, sort through them real quick, and pick 2 or 3 that we wanted to follow up with, and that just really helped us just save a lot of time. And then after we had been with you several years, I was actually able to take 2.5 weeks off and go with my wife on a nice belated honeymoon that we never really got to have, and go down to Costa Rica and spend 2.5 weeks down there, and the company ran while I was gone. And that was all because of what we learned from you all.
Now, drilling into that a little bit here with the limited time we have, and again, I encourage everybody, if you're in the Tulsa area and you're looking for a plumbing service you can trust, one of the great things about the conferences is we meet people. Most of the clients we work with are not in Tulsa, but occasionally we get to meet people like you that you're in Tulsa, and we get an opportunity to use your services at actsofserviceplumbing.com. Great website, actsofserviceplumbing.com. Great company there. Having a weekly meeting, I think that is a super important thing, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we're so busy, we're so perpetually bombarded with urgent demands. Ricky, we have so many things that are urgent upon us. We're always doing a job. We're always processing an invoice. We're always calling somebody back. Could you talk about just the importance of having that weekly meeting and then really drilling down and developing those new habits and those new routines, just that weekly meeting and drilling down and developing those habits and routines?
Yes. Just having that face-to-face conversation once a week, it helps keep you accountable and helps keep you on track, because they're going to give you homework to do. They're going to say, okay, I need you to do this. I need you to look at your numbers, look at, how you're doing. Are you increasing your profits, or are you going down? And just having that accountability has made a tremendous impact. It helped us develop, different aspects of the company, who's going to be in charge of what, because as an owner, you tend to want to just do everything, wear all the hats. And eventually you have to just get to the point where you say, okay, you take care of this, Michael, Casey, you take care of this, and I'm trusting you guys. And we set up systems through the whole process of how things should be done, so that we're not just throwing rocks in the river and hoping, we hit the right mark. We just drilled it down to where this is our goals. This is where we want to be at in 6 months, a year, 5 years, and help us set those goals. And then things have just been so smooth since we started working with the business coach, and it has made a difference in my life, and it's made a difference in my kids' lives, because they feel comfortable now as well to be able to take that company over and continue to run it for the next generation.
And looking at the numbers, and I know you've done a lot of changes, a lot of updates have been made between the time I first met you at that business conference where you met Bob Healy, the founder of the Grill Gun, and Bob's gone on now to sell. It's incredible. Bob now has a multi-million-dollar company. His company, grillblazer.com, is now a multi-million-dollar brand, and he came to that conference with that very first prototype. And I know you guys have never stopped improving the business. How would you describe where you're at now versus where you were when we first met at that conference?
We were sitting, financially, I think we were sitting around 400,000. And this last year we did 1.2 million. So our company has continued to grow and increase. We've set to where we have set up the bar really high with our guys, to where they have to meet a certain standard. Another thing that they had taught us about was production pay, paying them based on how they're performing, and not just getting them an hourly dollar amount, and they have no motivation to increase. And so that has really helped us to set a standard for our own team, so that they're reaching higher and higher all the time, trying to get to that next level so they can get a pay increase and be a better provider for their families.
Now, we're off to a good start here in February of this year, and you guys are rocking and rolling. And for anybody out there who's in the Tulsa area that's looking for a plumber they can trust, in the closing a couple minutes we have here, could you tell us about your service and what makes your plumbing service different than your competition? Because, again, somebody right now, they're probably needing a plumber. We'll be calling you about a renovation we're doing. That's actsofserviceplumbing.com. What separates actsofserviceplumbing.com from the great competition that you have in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area?
One of the things we do is we give amazing warranties whenever we do work, and we also give upfront pricing before we ever pick up a wrench. The customer is not going to be surprised if things don't go the way we thought they were, and it takes us a little longer. We're not going to charge them extra. We gave them the price up front. That's what it is. We lock it in. They don't have to worry about that price ever going up. We put on shoe covers. We put down protective material on the floors to protect their house, take care of it like it's our own. We stand behind our work so that if something does go wrong, they know that we're going to take care of it. And we always send them a text message when we're on the way so they know exactly when we're heading that way, so they don't have to wonder, is this guy ever going to show up or not? And, we keep our word. We're there on time and provide great, outstanding service. And all of our guys have been there around 4 years, so we have great stability with our guys. And if somebody wants the same technician, they can always ask for the same guy. They'll get the same guy and build a good rapport with them. So, and we use the best material on the market. We don't get cheap stuff. We use the best stuff so that they're getting the best and can get a great warranty whenever we do any repairs or installs for them.
Well, final question I have here for you. Again, most of our listeners are not in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and a lot of our listeners will probably run into you at our next in-person workshop. They might see you at the workshop, but for anybody who won't get a chance to shake your hand or see you in person, how would be, I guess, the best 30 or 60-second way to describe the impact that hiring a business coach had on your business?
Well, like I said before, it was just life-changing because when you try to do things on your own, you're not always seeing the big picture. Sometimes you get a narrow vision and you get so many fires, you're trying to put out the fires that you don't realize, okay, I need to be working on the business, not in the business. And you have to get to that point where you can finally turn part of it over to either some of your sons or daughters if they're working with you, or some of the employees you trust. You have to get to that point where you just say, okay, I need to be doing the $1,000 an hour job and let them do the $100 an hour job. And that was just a big changer for me that made such a difference. And I would recommend coaching to anybody out there that is thinking about growing their company and getting better and more proficient, and eventually wants to get to a point where you could step away for a month if you wanted to, and the company's going to run without you being there.
Well, I appreciate you so much for carving out time for us today, and I can't wait to see you at our next in-person workshop. And again, for anybody out there that might have missed that web address there, that's actsofserviceplumbing.com. That's Ricky Hudson. Ricky Hudson, thank you for carving out time for us, and we'll see you very soon,
Thanks,
sir.
Clay. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Bye.
My name is Josh Wilson. I'm the owner of Living Water Irrigation. So I've been working with Thrive since December of 2017. So the biggest changes we've seen as a company is, first of all, just systematically how we do things, how we present things. Our Google presence is phenomenal. Our website's a million times better. And just the overall accountability and the process by which we're conducting ourselves. So our biggest win since working with Thrive is we literally, March was a record month for us. It was almost twice as much as our biggest month prior to that. In the last week or so, we've closed about $250,000 worth of business. We still have to go dig a bunch of dishes and get it done, but we signed about $250,000 worth of business with the relationships we built, the things that they've implemented through Victoria and Clay and everybody here at Thrive. So I would recommend Thrive to other business owners simply because they can point out where you're flawed and what you need to work on. You just have to be real and honest with yourself on what you need to improve upon. So that would be first and foremost. And the huge reason why I would do it, because it works. It actually, everything that they said when we came in for our initial meeting to today, absolutely positively has been accomplished.
Thrive Nation, on today's show, we're answering a question from a listener while also teaching something that we probably don't teach enough on the show, and that is managing humans. You know, it's getting people to do what they're supposed to do. So if you own a copy of the Boom Book, or maybe you don't, you can download, John, I believe if you go right now to the Thrivetime Show website and you click on the podcast button, I believe in the right column you can download all of my ebooks. Am I correct? Okay. So you go there and you can download the book, the Boom Book. And in the Boom Book on page 163 of this edition, or on step 10, which is just go to chapter 12 of the Boom Book. You can find it there. I wrote in the book, I wrote here, management consists of your ability to get the members of your team to execute your business plans, systems, and processes with excellence. So what I'm going to do is, Andrew, I'm going to have you jot down on today's show notes specific areas where I get crazy, massive amounts of pushback on a daily basis. Whoa. The employees who work for me, for the Elephant in the Room Men's Grooming Lounge, have to do a great job. And let's define that. They have to be on time. We'll just start there. I want to get your take on this, John. It's work at the Elephant in the Room Men's Grooming Lounge. We have 4,000 members who pay a membership fee to get their hair cut. We have about 1,000 in Oklahoma City. And, John, your haircut's scheduled at 11:30. One of our clients has an appointment scheduled at 11:30. How late can we be before the customer gets upset?
1 minute. I mean, yeah, it's 1 to 5 minutes.
So the appointment's scheduled at 11:30, right?
Yep.
And the stylist, the grooming professional, is running late. Not cutting hair, but just running late to work. How long can you and I put up with that before the customer takes their money, a.k.a. their vote, to a competitor?
I'd say probably the second time somebody just is late to a haircut, the customer is no longer going to be a customer of ours.
Interesting. So you're saying that we have to be on time.
Right.
So how do you get people to be on time, John? Because you do a great job managing the team of dozens of ladies. How do you convince them to be on time?
Well, one, you got to write up, reprimand when it doesn't happen. You want to make sure that they, know the expectations to be there on time. But two is also have them get there earlier than they're supposed to, knowing full well that they're not going to get there on time.
A little notable quotable. You can get a tattoo of this if you want. Without friction, your success is a fiction. So without friction, your success is a fiction. What do I mean by that? I mean by, John, what happens if it just happened this week? And again, we release these shows months after we record them.
True.
But just on this Monday, you had to release somebody. And we'll say we don't know what gender they were. We had to release somebody. It could be a man, could be a woman.
Okay.
But we had to encourage said human to go ahead and go work somewhere else.
Oh, yes.
Why?
They were not a good fit for us, meaning they couldn't do their core task at the level of excellence that we needed.
And specifically, they couldn't be on time. Am I correct?
Right.
Over and over.
Yeah.
They couldn't be on time for the training.
Yeah, and
they
it's always
be on
like
time for the
something else.
haircuts.
So when you talk to somebody, it's always like they need something else, whether it's more training, more tools, more this, more that. And so eventually, you just have to just realize that this person's always going to be that way, and it's just better off for them to go find those things that they claim they need somewhere else.
Now, is it shocking to you that this person, regardless of how old they are, regardless of where they're from or how much experience they have moved around quite a bit from job to job when talking to the person, and they've had a hard time finding a boss that can – I mean, is it interesting to you that people shop around jobs, that people tend to be job hoppers if they can't be on time?
Well, it doesn't shock me because typically when you're a crazy person in one area, you don't just let your crazy out in one job. It just kind of bleeds into all areas of your life.
Everywhere, yeah. But
crazy people gonna crazy,
That's
know?
True. But think about this, Josh Wilson. You have a team of people at Living Water Irrigation. Have I muted you? There you are.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey, we're in.
Okay. So you have a team of people at Living Water Irrigation.
Yes, sir.
And you have crews, and you have a bilingual crew. Am I correct?
Oh, we do?
Yeah. See.
And you have to
Spanish
get
is
your
impeccable, Mr. Kelly.
You have to get your employees to be on time.
That is correct.
What happens if they're not on time and you let the employee get away with it a lot? What would happen by default to Living Water Irrigation if you were over time to let it drift?
We'd be out of business.
Interesting.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I went to a small private liberal arts college and got a degree in business, and I didn't learn anything like they're teaching here. I didn't learn linear workflows. I learned stuff that I am not using, and I haven't been using for the last 9 years. So what they're teaching here is actually way better than what I got at business school. And I went what was actually ranked as a very good business school. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us.
This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See? It's nice, right?
So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood. This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
So we really just want to thank you, Clay, and thank you, Vanessa, for everything you've done, everything you've helped us with. We love you guys.
Clay, my honor to be on your show, and thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learn from you, so congratulations.
And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. Hi, I'm Kelsey with K&D's Woodward Finishing, business owner at 23. So I've been working this K&D's company for about 5 years now, and we started working with Thrive not too long ago. And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. That's what we're going to hit or exceed. So we're pretty excited about that. It's been pretty much just listening to what they have to say. Their hiring process has just really been incredible as far as finding good quality help, and the just the accountability of meeting up with them weekly, and like such good insight, the resources that they have for specific business questions. It's all been really incredible. It's been a great experience, so I would recommend it to anybody.
Hi, I'm Amy Cheney. My husband and I are owners of Cheney Construction here in Pampa, Texas. And I was a little skeptical at first because my husband's tried to do things like this before. But once I was able to speak with Clay myself, I thought we need to give this a chance. So we were able to determine that the savings that we have from the decision that we made each month is going to be roughly about $2,000 a week, so it's about $8,000 a month. Plus we also made the decision to get rid of a billboard that hadn't really brought us any business, and that was another $475 a month. So we're looking at $8,500 a month, and that's a really big deal. So my first thoughts when Clay introduced us to the weekly Know Your Numbers system was, no big deal, we don't need to do that. We have a secretary that's an amazing QuickBooks person, and so she enters all of that stuff every single day for us. So we don't need to do that ourselves. QuickBooks will pull a report, that's all we need. We don't need anything else. There's no sense in me double duty. Clay, do you understand how many transactions are in our bank statement every single month? It would take me forever to do. So very resistant, because I thought, we already know our numbers. We already have everything into QuickBooks, and we already know what we need to know, and we can pull a report to provide you with that information. So some of the struggles in being able to complete this action item were getting the want to do it. Once I actually decided, okay, Clay, you can stop asking me. I'm actually going to sit down and do this every single week, and actually got through it. That was it. Like, I've made that commitment. It takes me maybe 20 minutes on, every Saturday morning to go in and do the previous weeks. Now that I've been doing it for a while, I'm kind of on a roll, and so it makes it a lot easier. So one of the things we discovered when we started looking at the money this closely was that my husband doesn't want to know the numbers, first of all. He pays good money to have someone do that for him because he just doesn't want to know. It's not his thing. And so I had worked for an accountant previous to this, so that's kind of my thing. So for him to be able to sit down and take a look and see some of the things we're spending money on that he probably didn't even realize, or to realize how much we've been paying some employees that were not operating as A players. That was the big eye-opener for my husband. But when he saw the numbers of what we were paying in payroll expenses for two team members that were not operating as A players and hadn't been for quite some time, that was a huge eye-opener for him, and he realized that he needed to take that emotion out of that decision and make it a business decision. It's accountability for your secretary as well, or your bookkeeper, whoever does your books, especially if it's not yourself, because if you've not ever had anybody embezzle money from you, then you're very fortunate. So it's really good to have that accountability. We've had that happen in the past to us, and so my secretary's actually even come back to me and said, hey Amy, I really appreciate that you're doing this now, because now at the end of the month, if there's not any money, then you know exactly where the money's went. You and Jimmy have known exactly where the money has gone. So we're not coming to her going, where's all our money? Because that's not a good position for her to be in either. So like I said, just knowing where your dimes are going is a huge deal, and being able to know where to cut back from, that's a big deal, but also the accountability for everyone on your team.
My name is Danielle Sprick, and I am the founder of D Sprick Realty Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. After being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years and my 3 kids started school and they were in school full-time, I was at a crossroads and trying to decide what do I want to do? My degree and my background is in education, but after being a mom and staying home and all of that, I just didn't have a passion for it like I once did. My husband suggested real estate. He's a home builder, so real estate and home building go hand in hand, and we just rolled with it. I love people, I love working with people, I love building relationships, but one thing that was really difficult for me was the business side of things. The processes and the advertising and marketing. I knew that I did not have what I needed to make that what it should be. So I reached out to Clay at that time, and he and his team have been extremely instrumental in helping us build our brand, help market our business, our agents, the homes that we represent. Everything that we do is a direct line from Clay and his team and all that they've done for us. We launched our brokerage, our real estate brokerage, 8 months ago. And in that time, we've gone from myself and one other agent to just this week, we signed on our 16th agent. We have been blessed with the fact that we right now have just over 10 million in pending transactions. 3 years ago, I never would have even imagined that I would be in this role that I'm in today, building a business, having 16 agents. But I have to give credit where credit's due. And Clay and his team and the business coaching that they've offered us has been huge. It's been instrumental in what we're doing. Don't ever limit your vision. When you dream big, big things happen.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school. I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.
What I've seen from Clay and his group at Thrive is they'll give you a simple system, and it's the simple systems are the ones that people can wrap their brain around. They're the ones that people can work with on a day-to-day basis.
Hi there, my name is Stephanie Pipkin. I am 24 years old and I own Black River Falls Cleaning Services. We opened in April of 2019 and it is now mid-June of 2020. So I wanted to talk today about the success and growth I have achieved by implementing the Proven Path with Clay Clark's team and my business coach Luke from Thrivetime. It has been insane to say the least. I started working with them in mid-February of this year, so we're about 4 months in of working together, and it has completely transformed my business in pretty much every facet. So I'm gonna check my notes here. So in 4 months, my leads have tripled. I was getting probably like 2 leads a week. Now I'm getting more in the like 10 to 15 leads a week. I have doubled my number of employees. I'm now hitting the highest revenue weeks in the history of the company, week to week it seems like. We went from about 6 appointments today as our highest in February to now 14 to 15 appointments a day. And hiring quality employees has become much simpler and less stressful by using their systems for hiring. I typically only get maybe 2 complaints a month, if that, and everybody shows up to work. I just have really high quality employees now, especially in something people typically consider a high turnover type of work, you know, cleaning houses, cleaning businesses. I have amazing employees now, and I get rid of the ones who are not so amazing and bring on new ones because of, you know, group interviews and interviewing every single week. It's just been great, and such I don't waste as much time on low quality candidates anymore. And your coach will hold you accountable, I mean, which I love. Again, the tough love is really great. You know, Luke's like a stern father figure, but he's also nice, but also stern when he needs to be, when I'm being lazy and not doing the things that I know I need to do because I don't want to do them. So that's just great. Worth every penny. I mean, I'd pay him $1 million a month if I can, and maybe someday I'll be able to, but I would just say go for it. If it seems like a good fit, just go for it. do what they say, even if you think it's stupid or ridiculous. Just do what they say, because it'll work. You know, people, when they look at my business, you know, people in my town, they think I'm lucky. They think I'm just, you know, things just happen for me. And, you know, maybe I am lucky, but it has a lot to do with hard work and, you know, perseverance and, you know, working till you cry sometimes. That's just being an entrepreneur, which if you're a business owner, you understand that. But it's having these systems in place of, you know, of course I'm going to be successful. It's an absolute, because I have all this stuff in the background happening, and I have Luke and Clay and everybody on their team working really hard to make sure that I'm a success. And I can tell that they are just so excited every single week when I'm having all these wins and things like that. They're so excited for me. So it's the best thing ever, and I would suggest to anybody to work with them. So sorry for the long-winded reply, but I just had so much to say, and I could go on for hours probably about how amazing they are. But thank you to Clay and Luke and the entire team there, everything you guys have done for me, and I am so excited to continue to work with you for years to come. Thanks so much for watching.
My saying is, if it's important to you, hire a coach. And I think that's one of the reasons people are not successful is they eat a cheeseburger instead of hiring a coach, you know what I mean? And so my coach pushes me. They're younger than me. They push harder. They're trained. And as my rich dad always said, you know, amateurs don't have a coach, but professionals always have coaches. So I've always had coaches for whatever is important. You know, my rich dad was one of those persons. I wanted to learn how to play Monopoly in real life, so he was my coach.
Well, Carter, you know, we have an opportunity here at the Thrivetime Show to work with some really great business owners, people that are actually serious about growing their company. They go to thrivetimeshow.com and they reach out to schedule a free 13-point assessment. And oftentimes I hop on the phone with these folks and we figure out if they're a good fit. And once we start working with a client, our goal is to help the client to actually grow their actual business. And on today's show, we're joined with a man who we've had the opportunity to work with. The company's called NWA Gutter Perfection. And my understanding, Carter, is that they're up over 60%. Is that right?
I would say that's correct, yes.
DJ, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing, Clay?
I'm doing great. So for anybody out there who is doubting whether you're a hologram or not, what's the name of your company, sir?
Gutter Perfection.
How did you guys first hear about us? Do you know?
It's actually a friend of mine found out about your business conferences there, and then we went there, and I guess I was sold the first conference we went to.
If you go to nwagutterperfection.com, you can see they're a real company. They're a real business. They really are growing. What markets do you service there, DJ? For people out there that might be looking for your services, what's the market area that you service?
Pretty much all of Northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, Springdale, Fayetteville, Rogers, you know, the little surrounding towns there too.
And again, if you go to the website here, folks, nwagutterperfection.com, you can see they are a real business, real people having real success. DJ, I really do appreciate your time today, sir, and we'll talk to you soon.
What I've seen from Clay and his group at Thrive is they'll give you a simple system, and it's the simple systems are the ones that people can wrap their brain around. They're the ones that people can work with on a day-to-day basis. And that simplicity brings power with it. So it shocked me how simple some of the stuff is. And at times I'm like, why didn't I think about that? Workflow creation, systematic marketing, and coaching has helped our church so much. You know, the workflow creation is what it really is they're gonna look and see every moving part of your church, of your ministry, what needs to be done. And it's gonna go up on a massive board. And so now what it does is it takes what you know needs to be done out of your heart and out of your head. Really takes the pressure, the stress off your shoulders, and it puts it on the board where your entire team, your ministry can see exactly what you want them to do every day. And so they know this is the playbook, this is what we're doing. And then there's laser sharp accountability with a meeting afterwards, did it get done or not?
Clay, you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. I think YouTube is a tremendous educational platform for good and bad. So you've got to really again choose your teachers wisely, as anything else. So the best lesson sits in the back here, and I think you do it, and Dr. Z does it. Once you learn something, if you really want to learn it, you got to teach it.
I think it's life-changing for me and how I approach business. Could you explain Octa non-verba, what it means, and how our listeners can apply it?
Clay, you gave me goosebumps, man. I'm glad it hit you as hard as it did. Octa non-verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments with Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was Octa non-verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do.
Well, the first time that I ever met you, Clay, was at that first conference in Tulsa. And that was an incredible conference. And I was so impressed with just the whole thing, just the professionalism, you as a person, your business, your work ethic, and really just who you are. And I was very impressed with all of that. And I thought, gosh, this might be someone that I would really consider working with. Like maybe he could really help me. And that's really what got me interested, because I was so impressed with just the professionalism of all of it. And I learned a lot. I come about once a year to a business conference, and I'd like to come more, but every year I try to come with my marketing girl with me. And we always learn something. And I think next year I'm going to bring my husband because he really needs to come too.
And you're in McKinney, Texas, right? So how long have you been an orthodontist in McKinney, Texas?
So I've been an orthodontist for 26 years, practicing in McKinney.
And when you went to medical school, what percentage of the time in medical school or dental school, did they spend teaching you how to market and or grow your own practice?
Absolutely zero marketing skills.
Okay. And from when I talked to Andrew, you're the coach who works with you, I'm always hearing that more and more patients are coming in from Google. Could you talk about that? How much of an impact does it have having maybe a rebranded or updated website and Google leads coming in?
It has had a huge difference, absolutely huge difference in our patient load coming in. And, before I really wasn't tracking really well. And that's one of the things I learned from Thrivetime Business was how to track patients coming in, how to really, how to see where they're coming from. And at the time, I really didn't know much about Google. And, being an orthodontist for 26 years, I didn't really know a lot I kind of went through a time where I went through shock. It was really what I call culture shock, because the old ways of marketing were not working anymore. And because I really didn't know about online marketing, I was still doing, phone book ads and magazine ads and all of these things. And so Thrivetime has really helped. And I will say that it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you stay the course, you're going to see results, because I'm absolutely convinced.
Dr. Christ, thank you for allowing us to take up some of your valuable time today. I really do appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you in person here soon.
All right. Thanks so much, Clay.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Okay, Aaron Antis, March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, guess who's coming to Tulsa, Jerusalem?
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, that's March 6th and 7th. We're going to be joined by Robert Kiyosaki. Best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Probably the best-selling, or one of the best-selling business authors of all time. And he's going to be joined with Eric Trump. He'll be joined by Eric Trump. So we got Eric Trump and Robert Kiyosaki in the same place. Aaron, why should everybody show up to hear Robert Kiyosaki?
Well, you got billions of dollars of business experience between those two, not to mention many, many, many millions of books have been sold. Many, many millionaires have been made from the books that have been sold by Robert Kiyosaki. I happen to be one of them. I learned from the man. He was the inspiration. That book was the inspiration for me to get the entrepreneurial spirit as many other people.
Now, since you won't brag on yourself, I will. You've sold billions of dollars of houses, am I correct?
That is true.
And the book that kickstarted it all for you,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that kickstarted your career.
Yeah.
He's going to be here.
He's going to be here. I'm pumped.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States and soon to be the 47th president of these United States, he needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it. And we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. And then you add to that Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You add to that Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump organization. You add to that Sean Baker. Now you might say, but Clay, is there more? I need more. Well, okay, Tom Wheelwright is the wealth strategist for Robert Kiyosaki. So people say, Robert Kiyosaki, who's his financial wealth advisor? Who's the guy who manages, who's his wealth strategist? His wealth strategist, Tom Wheelwright, will be here. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns what do you call that? The rental,
storage space,
storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the day here is March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, we just got confirmation. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he'll be here. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. I think that's going to change your life. I promise you, this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Now, don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life-changing. It is life-changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life-changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right, really. So if you're looking to have life-changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you, it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
My name is Claire Yinger. I was looking to learn everything about business, which I have learned so many things. It's like drinking from a fire hydrant. I'm gonna have to do it again, multiple times. What I've learned so far has been, just a lot about processes, systems, the power of them, your due diligence. The list could go on and on and on. Well, listening to Clay is like very entertaining because he is entertaining, but also just meeting all the different people and having time and space to you're learning a lot, but then also being able to discuss with other people what they're learning and just getting different perspectives. So very entertaining, very funny, very thorough, but also could be random because it's full of a lot of stories, but it's also intentional. It's like everything he's doing is intentional, but you wouldn't be fully aware that it was, but it is.